But first off, thank you guys for like being on the show again. This is great. Love talking to you all. Want to just talk a little bit about the band and whatnot. Like we spoke last, I think it was last February. Just generally, like how have the live shows been going? I know you guys have been playing a lot more. What's the latest? You guys are playing tonight, right?
We are. Yeah, and first off, it's great to be back, Jake. Thank you very much for having us. Uh, Always, it was good talking to you last time, so looking forward to it. Yeah, we have a gig tonight in Philadelphia. It's our second, I think it's our second gig in Philadelphia. So it'll be a good time. Got some people coming, and we'll see how it goes. But it's we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah. I think last time we talked, you guys played about like 7 or 8 shows, or I think you said Tony. What are we at now? It looks I see on Instagram and stuff. Looks like you guys are playing something new like every week or every month or something. It's great. It's great to see that.
I don't know where the count is right now. I mean, if you're looking at the new year, we have this show tonight. We're doing a really big show in February, which is going to be huge for the band. That's going to be at Nikki Lopez on South Street, and we're opening for a great Philly metal band, Breaker, and then the legendary Lynch Mob, fronted by George Lynch. So that's exciting. In March, I think we're doing a live stream concert, which will be live from the basement, sort of back to our little live from the basement EP type of roots. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. There's been submissions for some festivals throughout the year, so a little early on that to hear, but the band is busy, and then I think we'll be doing a recording here towards the end of February.
Yeah, that
Awesome.
sounds
That's
about
great to
right.
hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
so far we have three booked this year, and we're hoping to get more. But it's great. It's only like the what, 6th, 17th of January, and we actually had a couple gigs come our way. Unfortunately, we couldn't do them due to other circumstances. So like within a week or two of the start of the new year, we already had 5 shows come our way, um, and that was good. Some of it was from people that we played with before and said, "Hey, we want to play with you again." So that made me feel pretty good about what we're doing.
it's great to hear. Super awesome. I will get into the lynch mob stuff a little later on, but before we do that, I keep seeing about this place, the Kenneth Flash. You guys did like a live album there, right? What's the story with that place? It looks like a pretty awesome venue.
I grew up in Kennett. Brian and I met when we were attending Kennett High School many years ago. And so neither one of us lives there anymore. It's just this tiny little town in southeast Pennsylvania. And over time, the town has changed. And one of the things that changed, they put this venue in it. It's called the Kennett Flash. And our first ever, if you want to call it a gig, but our first time playing live was at an open mic at the Flash, and we just struck up a good relationship with the director, and we came back for a couple other open mics, and then we had some gigs, and they've just treated us like gold. So it's I feel like it's almost like where we've kind of grown up a little bit as a band in terms of learning how to do things and just learning what it's about playing live. So for me, it holds an incredibly special place in my heart because of that. It is where we've learned how to do this. So yeah, the Flash is a good place, and we did a live album there. I mean, we Matt set up a phone, and then we also got a soundboard recording, and so we put those two together. I mean, it's as raw could be. There's not a lot of editing on that thing, so it's where we were at that time.
Great. We like the raw sound. We love it.
Yeah, well
Buzzy,
then,
crunchy, and distorted is what we like on the
well, it's all
radio.
there. Yeah, it's all there.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And then we talked last time about some like local bands and stuff. I remember you guys mentioned a band called Silver Sonic,
Yes.
which I think you played with, and I checked them out. They're pretty awesome. You're right. Are there any other I guess local bands you guys want to plug or shout out anyone you've played with since then that you can think of?
Um.
Not to
Yeah. I
put you on
mean,
the spot.
yeah. It's no. There's one band. We don't have a similar sound, but I loved it. They're called the Ant and Ange Band. Um. I don't even know. Like it's almost like a southwestern thing. Like if you watch Breaking Bad, like some of the interlude music in that, it's what it reminds me of. They were so good to listen to. We played with them, and then there's another band that we've played with called Awkward Middle that's had us on a show or two. So they were those are two that stand out for me.
Yeah,
You
I
guys
would
have
agree.
any?
The Ant and Ange band is they're a trio as well. It's sort of jazz, rock, rockabilly all rolled into one. They're a phenomenal live band. If you get a chance to see Ant and Ange bands or check them out on YouTube, they're great. Like Tony said, Awkward Middle is another good band. We've become good friends with them. Their guitar player, uh, we call him Holbrook, is phenomenal. He has to be seen. He's just an amazing player. We
He's a
did a gig
showman,
with
yeah.
a band called Here Again at the Kennett Flash. I guess what was it, November-ish? I think we
Something like
did.
that, yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was again to touch on that Flash relationship. Mike Hahn, who that's the director of the Flash, we've developed a great relationship, and we've said to him personally, "Hey, if you need us for something, call." And he's like, "A lot of bands say that if short notice, though." And I'm like, I said to Tony, "If he calls, let us know. We'll do it." And we've been true to our word, and we appreciate him thinking of us for that. But he put us on a bill with this band called Here Again, and they were a great sort of reminds me of sort of 2000 alternative type of music. So they're one to check out as well.
Also at the Flash, 'cause like I said, we've been there. This past summer, we entered into a Battle of the Bands contest, and we played against, I guess you would say, some I guess some like metalcore bands. It was like a Tempting the Tides was one of them, and then we made it to the final round, and we took second place. But the band that took first was called Ripe Enough. They're young college age kids too, and they're worth checking out as well. So they're,
Awesome.
I think they're in Philadelphia at this point, but they do some things. So yeah, we've been fortunate to come up and run some bands that have been fun. I'm looking forward to tonight. There's a band called Starscream with a K, and we're gonna be playing with them. I follow them on Instagram, and they seem like really nice guys, and it seems like it's gonna be a fun time. So
Sweet. Yeah, definitely we'll check all that stuff out. You guys, since we last talked, had a couple singles come out. I think both of them I played on the show. Want to talk about? I think the is "Coming Home" the most recent song you guys had come out.
yes,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that song. Big fan of that song.
thank you.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what the vibe was for that one. It was heavy, man. I liked it.
Good. Um, It's so anybody that hasn't heard it, yeah, you're right. The song is called "Coming Home," and it's funny. We were just as we were working through the song, Matt. I think we posted us just playing in the basement, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound right? And
Yeah.
someone on YouTube made a comment. So sounds like some bad stuff's going to go down with that. So the opening riff is kind of like a bluesy riff, a little dirty guitar, and then yeah, it kicks in with the distortion and so it's I don't know. I feel like it's almost like a Metallica meets the blues, you know. But
Yeah.
I like the way it came out. I think Brian's bass lines are really good. The drumming's good. I just feel like it really came together nicely.
Yeah. So I remember when we came up with it, Tony, it was at a practice that Brian wasn't able to make, so it was just you and I.
Okay.
And you just kind of started playing the beginning riff, and I heard it and I just went nuts. I was like, just keep playing that, and then it just kind of went from there. And for me, I called the song Cajun because until we had lyrics and an official name, that's how I thought of the song. It has a nice Cajun feel to it. Uh,
I was gonna say, and then it just built from there. It's funny. I tend not to remember that kind of stuff, so I'm glad that Matt remembers that. But um, so yeah, I guess it just developed that way, and then we just built it up and uh, got it done.
What as you're working on those types of songs, right? Because it's a nice riff in there. It's not one of our more complex songs. Not that the songs have to be complex, but as you're sort of playing it, you're developing your own sort of we're all becoming sort of more familiar with the song. And then after we played it a few times live, the reaction I think stunned all of us. I mean, we knew it was. Sorry, I'm having phone issues here. We knew it was a good song.
It's all good.
Um, we knew it was going to be a good song and it was a powerful song, but the reaction from the people that came to see us, that was the song that everybody talked about. They just gravitated to that song. So I think that's when we were like, okay, we're on to something here. But it was a song that, we all knew we wanted to record next and sort of release um, as the next single.
Yeah, I was surprised as well when people were like, "Oh, we really like that song Coming Home." I was like, "Oh, it just I like it." Like Brian said, I like the song. It wasn't on my radar as one that people were going to gravitate towards. So I'm glad that that was the case because that kind of gave us some motivation to record that one. When we did to get it out there. So it'll be cool because now tonight we can talk about, hey, this is our new single coming out that just came out and all that. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. I've heard that like happen a lot of times to musicians. Like they have a song and the reaction is huge and they don't, I guess, initially think of it to be like that big of a song, which is interesting to hear about, you know. I guess would you say because it's kind of like more simply structured and whatnot?
yeah, yeah, it really is. There's not
Yeah.
much complexity to it, but I just sometimes I find that there's a real power in simplicity. There's good stuff that comes from more complex things, to be able to do that I think is really good. There's also a power in that simplicity, and I think that this is an example of coming home is an example of power and simplicity. And it's funny, I we weren't all able to be in the studio at the same time. Brian was not able to make it when Matt and I were in there, and so I was laying down the guitar parts and sometimes things just kind of come to you, when you're in that moment. It's like, oh, maybe we should try this. And after Brian did go in to do his part, he's like, yeah, we had to change some things on the bass because of the guitar. So I was like, oh, I felt bad. I didn't know that it was going to happen. In the end, though, I think that the final product is better than what we had going in. I think his bass line is really good, and it just has good interplay with the guitar, and so it all worked out nicely, didn't it? I think it's a good song.
Yeah, great song. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The whole simplicity thing, like, there's definitely power to that. You know, you look at like super basic punk rock stuff, and it's like it's great, you know, and it's easy to play. So there definitely is something to be said about simplicity in songwriting for sure. Let's talk about New Orleans. That's a great one also. When did that one come out? That one came out a little earlier, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think it was late August when we actually released that because we
Yeah.
recorded it in earlier in the summer. It was like in June when we did that, and I think it was late August when that came out. And yeah, that's a fun song to play. We play that at just about every show now. It's just a great way to start off a set. It really sets a tone. We always talk about that, setting a tone, and I feel like that one lays it down pretty nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one.
That's one of those songs that it came together very quickly. Like, I mean, Tony had the riff, and then like we played through it, and then a week later he had lyrics, and yeah, it was just one of those things. So it's nice when that happens.
Yeah.
It is. Sometimes it just doesn't go like that. I remember Brian saying to me not too long ago, "Wait, we started this one song and then we moved to this other one." I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like sometimes you literally hit a wall. I have a few lines of lyrics written and I can't come up with anything else at that point, or the music's not coming anymore. So, or sometimes like another idea comes in for a different song and it just pours out. Like New Orleans, the lyrics in there doesn't sound like anything fancy, but it's like places I've been in New Orleans. It's things I've done, and so it came relatively easily and more quickly than some other things. So yeah, like Matt's saying, it's like here's the riff, then all of a sudden here's the lyrics. Hey, let's get this solved, and then it worked out well. I love that song. I love playing it. I love listening to it. It's just got an energy to it. So it's a lot of fun.
And I think
Yeah,
it's kind
great
of
song.
it started morphing for us a little bit, right? Because if you listen to the recorded track, there's some vocal parts that Matt and Tony did, and the producer Mike they did. They were trying different things in the studio. Live, we started adding different parts where I throw in parts, and then it works. I think everybody was happy with how it worked, but it also allows Tony a little bit of breathing room, considering he's handling the lead vocal, so it gives him a bit of a break. But it's nice when these things come quickly and then you still have that room to sort of let it grow even more. You're sort of refining it as you're doing the live performance, and I think that it's taken on, like they've said, it's taken on quite the life of its own.
Yeah, Brian, I remember I think the last interview we did, we were talking about specifically recording bass lines. I think for that song, I think that's when you guys were kind of working on it. And I remember I made a joke like we need some slap bass in Impolite Society, and you guys were kind of talking about, well, we got this new song coming up, we got some cool bass parts for it. So yeah, there's some great bass in there for sure.
Yeah, it's nice you get that branch out. Obviously, the it's got to suit the track and stuff. There's potential for more. I know Matt's always pushing for slap bass, and we'll see what's coming down. I mean, that's the cool part. That to me is the fun part of all of this. If the three of us are in a room, and then you can develop something at that point, because it's usually somebody has an idea. Like there's a song we're working on now where Tony had an idea and then it sort of morphed and went somewhere where he wasn't maybe expecting it to go. He's, I think, pleasantly surprised with how it went with the rhythm section. Um, so hopefully, yeah, we can get a little more slap and a little funk going in there.
Nice. Primus Impolite Society.
There you go.
Yeah, no,
That'd be quite a
that's a
sound.
great point. As far as yeah, like coming up with songs and whatnot, are you guys all kind of just throwing ideas at each other and it kind of morphs? How does that kind of work for just creating new songs?
Yeah, the idea can come from anything. I mean, like playing guitar, you just mess around. It's like, oh, this might be something. So you kind of file that away, and it's like when we get together, it's, hey, you guys, check this out. This is all I have. Where can it go? And so yeah, it starts out like that. Someone's kind of like, hey, I thought of this. What I feel like has been happening more and in a much better way. I will come like Brian said, this new song that we're trying to mess with. I had a certain vision of it. I mean, when I say a rough demo, it was as rough could be, and it sounds so much different now than it did there. It's structured differently. It's just a different thing. And it was Brian and Matt who were like, "I think we should do this. I think we should put this. Let's try this." And next thing you know, we just kind of played through it one time, and it was like a 7 minute song. And we're working on paring that back a little bit, but it just grew. And like Brian's contributions and Matt picking up a great drum beat for it. It's like this is way better than I anticipated. So I feel like we're moving much more into the collaboration role, and it's really cool. So the idea can come from anywhere, but then it is nice when all three of us are working on building it up. So
There's also those instances where if we're at rehearsal and maybe we take a break, Matt steps out for a minute or two. The ability, everyone here dabbles on other instruments. I started on guitar, obviously playing bass. Tony can play drums and Matt can play around on guitar and whatnot. Tony may get on the drum kit and we just he plays a little beat and then we come up with it. And it's always, okay, remember that, remember this, remember that, remember. It could be a part of a song, it could be the start of a song. We have a lot of instances where I bet there's 5 or 6 songs that could be built off of those scenarios. So hopefully, hopefully we remember all of that stuff, or we can, pull back on there and kind of revisit those things. But that's generally how it comes. Somebody has a seed and it grows from there.
yeah, it works. And then you never know where it's going to go. Like to go back to New Orleans, at the end of that song, and even like at the end of the choruses, I should say, when I originally was doing the vocal melody, I was trying to sing like down and kind of land in this one spot that matched the chord. And when we went into the studio, the producer, his name is Mike, he said to me, "You're nowhere near where you need to be." I was like, "What do you mean? Like I've been singing this like this?" He goes, "Yeah, you're like a whole step off. So you're trying to get here." And say, "Yeah." He goes, "That's you're not near." I was like, "Oh." I had no idea, and so we were trying to do it, and it's not like I almost had to do like a Barry White imitation, and it was hard to get to, and so we quick changed on the fly to do like the he called it gang vocals, like where we layer
Right.
everything up, and I love the way it turned out. So even some ideas come out of mistakes, and you're like, oh, this is way better than what I was thinking. So you just kind of have to keep your eyes open and know when it's there. And we grabbed it, and I love the way it turned out. Way better than when we started it. So
Awesome. Yeah, and I think I saw on Instagram at some point you guys did a cover of Black Sabbath's Paranoid, and that was awesome. That was really cool. How'd that end up happening?
Tony and I we were talking about obviously when Ozzy passed. that we should do
Gotcha.
something. And there was a talk to do like a medley of Black Sabbath. Ultimately, because you could go through a list of them. We know that the audience will react to certain Black Sabbath songs over the other. And Tony was
Right.
always sort of saying we should do Paranoid. Um, and one, we're fans of sort of the Randy Rhoads era and then the Zakk Wylde era. So we kind of, Tony pulled from the guitar aspect of that, where it's a little heavier, still true to the original tune, but gives us sort of glimpses of, a modern take on it. But it's just fun to play.
It really is. It's just a fun thing to play. And so it did come out pretty well. I was happy with the way and that was just all live, one take, and it was pretty cool. So I like that. So when we need cover songs for certain gigs, I'm glad we have that one in our back pocket because we like to have songs that people know, and so they know that one. And I think that we handled it all right. So yeah, that video is on YouTube if anyone wants to check it out.
Yeah, that's great. Man, I could talk about Black Sabbath for days, man, but we gotta talk about other stuff. But no, that's a great point you bring up though, like finding songs that like everybody knows, and kind of sprinkling it in and whatnot. Are you guys still doing any covers live, or is it just pure originals?
I I would say it's really situational, right?
Ding-a-ling. Ding-a-ling.
Yeah, we play a Chuck Berry, my Ding-a-ling. I don't know if you've ever heard that song.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and so we kind of rock that one up a little bit, and I like the way that comes. That's on that live album. We did a version of that on there. But I think we do them sometimes, like if there's a little more room for covers. I know for me, I love playing our originals. And like tonight's going to be all originals. The next gig we do, if there's nothing else in between now and then, is going to be all originals as well. So it feels good to be, I think, at a point where we can say, yeah, we can give you a solid 45, 50 minutes of original music, you know. And now we joke around a lot about how one of our problems that we have is what originals do we put into a set because we do have to cut some things out. So that feels good too. So
A lot of it is also tailoring it, like to the venue and the circumstance. So, like, I remember, like on our first year or whatever of playing live, we played this thing called Delco Days, and that was like at a straight up bar, and like the people there were expecting nothing but covers, but we played mostly originals or whatever, So we learned from that whole thing, and like now it's just kind of finding the balance of like how many covers, how many originals should we do?
I think the only point I can add, because I mean Matt was spot on with that. We're always looking for something that we know the crowd is going to react to. You want to put your own spin on, but you also want it to excite the band because when they see that we're really enjoying it on stage and having a fun time with it, they're going to react to that. So that's just really where it goes with covers. I mean, we have a list of different covers we'd like to start doing. Hopefully, we can work those up and use them if needed.
Yeah, that kind of unrelated, but have you guys heard that story of Black Flag when they played live at Pollywog Park and they told everybody that they were a light Fleetwood Mac cover band? And then they just started doing their Black Flag tunes and people were like throwing tomatoes at them and stuff. It's pretty funny.
that's pretty good. No, one of the stories about covers that I like is in Metallica's early days. They were really big into the new wave of British heavy metal that was out at that time, but not a lot of people in the United States had heard those things. So they would take new wave of British heavy metal bands songs and they would play them and they would act like they were their own because no one knew them. So like, yeah, these are our songs, and and they weren't.
Right,
But
right.
you got to start somewhere. I mean, we do have a song in our repertoire that's called Black Eyed Susan from a band called Black Pistol Fire. They're a two-piece rock band, kind of like the White Stripes, along those lines. We could tell people that that song is ours, and people would be fine with that because I don't think they know the song. It's just but it's a fun song to play. So yeah, there's some in there that we have that we use when we need to, you know.
Yeah, it's awesome. Um, in light of bands that sound like the White Stripes, on a side note, you guys should check out this band. They're called the Schizophonics. They're
Okay,
from San Diego. Really good stuff. Really like garagey, kind of White Stripesy.
nice.
Um, Yeah, check them out. Really cool. I
Schizophrenic.
interviewed them a couple years ago. Really cool
Okay.
band. Now let's talk about the lynch mob story. Let's get into it. First off, how does this happen? I know Tony. We were talking a little bit about some similarities in history teachers having to do with music.
Yeah, earlier Jake was saying that he had a history teacher that was you talked music with, and you went to a show with at some with I guess you said you and your father. Um,
Yeah.
Years ago, I had a student in class, and he was clearly into music, tall kid, long hair, and all that stuff. And throughout the year, and this is probably, I mean, my God, this could have been, I think maybe in 2002, 2003, going back that far. And so at one point, this is back in the era of CDs too. So I don't remember which one of us initiated, but one of us gave CDs to the other person. And I was like, oh, you need to check these out. And he's like, hey, here you go, check these out. Like he gave me like Black Label Society. That was the first time I'd heard them. So it was cool. Got some stuff, some Iron Maiden things in there too. And I gave him some things like from Slayer, Testament, Sepultura. And one of the CDs was Doc and Back for the Attack. And um, it said, make sure you listen to this song, Mr. Scary. It's a really good instrumental. The guy just goes off. The guitar player, George Lynch, goes off. And so it's like, oh, really cool. So year comes and goes, and you know, you students move on. A couple of years ago, I find out that kid is playing bass for George Lynch now. His name is Jaron Galino. He's the current bass player for Lynch Mob, and so we've reconnected, and I've seen him play, with Lynch Mob, which was amazing. Watching him play Mr. Scary with George Lynch, and then we reconnected, and then he came to some of our shows and has seen us change over time, and it's like, I think you guys could do this. And so and it was kind of like, do what? What do you mean by this? He said, I'd like to have you open. And I was like, open for, like, 'cause he also does some side band stuff. I was like, side band? He's like, no, for Lynch Mob. I was like, okay. It would be a dream come true. I mean, I had George Lynch posters on my wall when I was a kid, reading articles in magazines, watching MTV Headbangers Ball at night, watching videos. And so, someone says, hey, I think you could open up. I was like, that's great. And lo and behold, like a week or so ago, I get the message saying, hey, we're going to be in Philadelphia in February. You want to do it? I was like, yes. And then my hands started shaking, and but accepted it. And so, yeah, we're going to do this. And so it is incredibly surreal in my mind to say that we're opening up for Lynch Mob. And I texted that to somebody, and when I was putting that in there, I was like reading these words, going, "We're opening for Lynch Mob." When we started this band a couple of years ago, we were like, if we play a couple shows, that'd be really cool. Uh, and now we're playing with George Lynch on a bill with George Lynch, I should say. But still, it's a really cool thing, and just mind blowing for me.
Excuse me, Mr. Sir, but to correct the record here, when I first joined up, we were supposed to be a Saturday basement cover jam band. There was no talk of live shows. After Tony showed me his original songs or whatever, and I saw Brian and Tony play, I was like, these guys have some skills. Let's just do like an open mic just so to get out, and that's what really triggered the whole thing. So,
Well,
Tony,
with
Tony.
that, then we've come even farther in my mind then.
Yeah, Matt was big on pushing the open mic. So yeah, Matt, that is accurate. For me, it's kind of funny because Tony and I started playing guitar, so I knew George Lynch when Tony would talk about it. It's his. If you want to say guitar hero, that was probably one of his first. So this is
Absolutely.
surreal. It's exciting. But I'd like to take a moment, as Tony already touched on, Jaron. Jaron has just been so gracious with us and coming to shows. I mean, I watch Jaron on videos. I mean, I'm trying to learn from him as a bass player. He's just the nicest guy. He is the total real deal. Uh, just the best. And, can't thank him enough for thinking of us for this. And then, thinking we can do this because, I think we all think we can play, but this is on a whole nother level. So, you know, I probably have been in perma smile for the last week and a half since Tony mentioned it. It's also nerve-wracking because, these are like heroes.
It was funny because I like my hands. I literally when I'm typing it, my hands were shaking. And then Brian, who's usually pretty stoic and all that stuff, was like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. It's like, yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like my
I
hands
mean,
shaking.
yeah.
It is what it is, but it's like in the end, we know we have to play. We know we're going to go do that. But in the beginning, it's like, cool. I'm going to enjoy this feeling of, oh my God, we've just been asked to do this. And then as we get closer, obviously, it's you focus on the gig. You have to tuck that other stuff aside. But this is for me. This is just fun to go. Wow, we are there. And like I said, it's not just um, randomly like, hey, I'm putting you on here. It's we were seen a couple times, and so I think we've earned it, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to do this. It's going to be unlike any other gig that we've done. Just knowing all that other stuff, that background stuff. So
Another quick
Yeah.
shout out, real fast. Quick shout out to your parents, Jake, because they exposed you to all kinds of awesome music, and you have such knowledge of music that I did not think that the youths these days had or whatever. So every time you bring up something, I'm utterly impressed. So good work to your parents.
Matt
Thank
just
you, Matt. Thank
made
you.
himself sound like he's older than we are, the youths of today.
Well,
And Matt's the youngest one in the band, by the way. So
Oh
now he
yeah.
might be called. Now we're gonna have to start calling him Dad with that kind of comment.
That's awesome. And then where is that show taking place?
It's in Philadelphia. There's I think I would say it's a really famous Philadelphia street called South Street. Like when we were younger, it's like people are like, you going up to South Street, like all kinds of crazy shops that your parents don't want you to see, and all these things. And so it's a small venue on South Street. If anyone is from Philadelphia, it's on the same street as the TLA, the Theater of the Living Arts, which is a nice small club to go to. The venue apparently used to be called J.C. Dobbs. It's now called Nikki Lopez. I didn't realize this, but apparently Green Day in their first tour on the East Coast, they played this place when it was called J.C. Dobbs. The show had to be shut down like 3 songs in because someone passed out, and then there was like fire code violations. Nirvana has played there. I think someone said Pearl Jam played there at some point. So it's kind of like, and Impolite Society is going to play there now. And so it is it's just surreal to think about. Like, Brian and I and Matt, we're of the age. I remember when Green Day came out with Dookie. I didn't know them before, but in like '93, I was exposed to Green Day with some friends at college. And then I remember when Nirvana broke big when we were in high school, and Pearl Jam and all that stuff. So it's like, wow, we're going to actually play in a venue that they played, even if it's a small place. It's just amazing to soak all that in. So yeah, South Street in Philadelphia, Nikki Lopez, February 24th is
February 24th.
the gig of a lifetime for us. Yes.
Awesome. Maybe Loyola Marymount University can sponsor a little radio excursion to attend that show for me if anyone's listening. If any administration people are listening, they want to pay for a plane ticket and housing.
Jake, you let me know who I have to talk to. I'm going to put in a good word for you, man. I think that's a great idea. I'd love to have you out there. We're going to look so big time if we have a press person with us.
Yeah, right?
It'll definitely be something people talk about. One way or the other, they'll talk about it.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying what they're going to say, but they're going to say
Yeah,
something.
right. That's so funny. That is awesome.
I
That's
I
awesome. That's
think that'd be a
great.
great thing. I think you should put in for that a real live press journey. That'll be
Yeah,
great.
that would be cool. That is something that would
real
be
world
fun to do.
experience. This is all write offs for them. This is they can just tax deduct all
Right,
this crap.
exactly. It's
So
tax
yeah.
write-offs. Exactly. The donor's money can go towards that.
That's right.
No, that's awesome, guys. That's great to hear. I wanted to talk a little bit about just more like broad kind of music stuff, like as far as like genres and different styles of rock and hard rock and metal and stuff that you guys have seen or been exposed to, different live shows you've seen. What's some of your guys' favorite memories of being a part of different eras and genres and whatnot? Like, with when the whole Nirvana thing broke, that before that, like more 80s kind of.
Well, given age, I mean, I think we grew up in a great era where you had all the 80s sort of pop icons, right? I mean, you had Michael Jackson and Prince, and you had George Michael and all those. And then you went into sort of the 80s rock, right? We saw the blow up of Slippery When Wet, Licensed to Ill from the Beastie Boys. Um, I don't want to use hairband terminology, but you saw those bands blow up. I mean, I got to see Bon Jovi at their peak. I got to see Def Leppard at their peak. I saw all three versions of Van Halen with each different singer, which is, I guess, unique in its own right. I mean, so we were lucky enough to see a lot of these bands probably before they blew up and then when they blew up. So that is something that I think a lot of people missed out on. Like Tony said, he saw the blow up with, like, I don't know if you saw Nirvana per se. I know you saw Green Day at certain points. I mean, Tony saw Metallica right at the start of, where they exploded on the Black Album and that tour. Um, in the heavier genre, we saw Pantera as they were coming up in there, which a lot of the bands still talk about that. But I mean, I remember going to see Pantera. I was in the pit. We're running around getting smashed. Guys are picking you up. It was a great experience. And then realizing, like, wait a second, that was 40 minutes. They're done. And they just walked off the stage. And then they were walking in the crowd, just hanging out with people. It was surreal to see bands like that. You don't see that much anymore.
Was that the show at the Tower, Brian?
Yeah,
That's the
I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's a
mean,
small venue called the Tower Theater. It's in a town called Upper Darby, just outside of Philadelphia. It's been around for a long time, and yeah, it's a small club. I mean, it was pretty cool to be able to say we saw Pantera there. I saw them at a bigger place too, but that was I don't know if that was the Far Beyond Driven or if that was what was the one after that? No, Vulgar Display of Power, or Far Beyond Driven was one of those.
Nice.
Probably Vulgar Display at that point, but yeah, saw those guys. Yeah, the hair stuff was big for me early on. When I first started listening to music, I was into like rap, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, like Brian said, and then a cousin of mine introduced me to Cinderella, and that was kind of like a whole shift. And then it was like Motley Crue and Poison, and then One came out from Metallica, and when that happened, like that shifted so many things for me. Started getting into like Slayer, Megadeth, and then one of my favorites from that era was Sepultura. And they were actually my first concert to see was Sepultura on the Chaos
Nice.
AD album. So that was a great thing. And then yeah, I mean the '90s changed a lot of that stuff. It was I still had those things in my I still listened to them, but I did get into some of the Nirvana stuff. Alice in Chains I really liked.
Heck
Some of the
yeah.
early Pearl Jam stuff was cool. And then the '90s stuff just blew up with all the grunge bands and kind of like quick burn. Then it died off. But then like I guess late '90s was like Godsmack came out and that kind of stuff. So I was into Godsmack, and now I feel like I go back to that stuff sometimes. But for me, I think last time we spoke about this, Jake, I told you I saw Social Distortion. Um, Bands like that, I love them. I saw them with Bad Religion when they came here, and that was great, to see. So. Uh, Yeah, it's just been a lot of different genres I think that we've gotten into, and it's good because then it helps with what we're doing. It's kind of like if you're inspired by one of those songs, or one of those sounds, you can incorporate it into what you're doing to help us with such a diverse background of stuff. It kind of gives us a little bit of a variety of sounds too. I don't think that Impolite Society has one sound. I'm still struggling to find out what genre we fit into. So if anyone's listening to this, listen to us and then let us know.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So Brian and Tony are a little bit older than me. Not so much older that there's a disconnect, which is great because we get that overlap. But for me, it was like I didn't really start catching on until like Nirvana and Pearl Jam came out. Like I was aware of the '80s music and I liked it and whatnot. I was younger. So yeah. So for me, it was mostly yeah when Nirvana and Pearl Jam came out, and then everything up until like maybe 2000, 2001 was huge influence for me. Like some of the best concerts I've been to are from bands that like I kind of liked, but I didn't really like. I wasn't really into like Kiss. They put on one hell of a show. I was never really all that into their music, but their show is awesome. 311, like I liked 311, but then my friend randomly took me to a show in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and they put on one hell of a freaking good concert and stuff like that. So yeah, stuff like that, and then like of course Tool is always fun to watch,
Heck yeah.
and the early days of the Mars Volta was awesome too. So that's what I got.
Nice.
I think
Nice.
my most recent concert, I just went and I saw Death Angel. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so they're touring. They were touring with Violence. I had never heard Violence before, and I listened to them a little bit before that, like a few weeks before the show. And but Death Angel was playing their whole album, Act Three, and I love that album. It was so good when I was in high school, and it in my mind it still holds up. Like I listen to it and go, wow, it sounds good. The songs are great, and when they played it, I was blown away by how true to things they were. It was. And it's been a long time since that album
Right.
came out, and God, they sounded so good. That was like a month or two ago, so it wasn't a
Nice.
terribly long time ago. Um, I was blown away by how good they were.
Awesome. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always cool when a band will play an album like in its entirety. Like, I don't know, are you guys familiar with Quicksand?
No.
They're kind of like 90s, kind of, I guess, post-hardcore or whatever, kind of from like the New York hardcore scene, but like a little kind of Fugazi-esque. But yeah, I saw them play this album Slip in its entirety, and it was awesome. But yeah, no, it's fun when a band will play an album all the way through. That's pretty awesome, Death
It
Angel.
is, and it's even better when it really sounds good. Like I saw
Yeah,
Slayer, I guess it was in September on, they came together for this show. It was in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And Slayer was top notch. I mean, my God, they're always good. They haven't lost a step. And the Cavalera brothers from Sepultura said they're going to play the whole Chaos AD album, and they didn't play the whole thing. They played most of it, and it was, let's put it this way: when I saw them in like '94, '95, whenever that was, I thought it was a better show at that time.
yeah,
This was good, but if this was someone's first experience, I don't think it would have been anywhere near the same as way back in the day. That's for sure.
yeah.
But like Matt
Awesome.
said, and Brian and I, we went to a couple Kiss shows on one of their on many of their reunion or final tour, whatever they were calling it. The most recent one was what, like 2016 or something like that, I think. And oh my God, like Matt said, they are unbelievable with the production and the show. It's so over the top, and it's everything you would want at a Kiss show. It was really good, unbelievable.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think we were lucky for that. We saw them on the '96 when they reunited. They had come back after the unplugged sort of deal where the original members played. So I think we were fortunate because the Philly show was an October show, so it was early in the tour where it was still new, fresh, and exciting, and the band wasn't on the verge of imploding again due to their general usual issues or dislike for each other. So we were lucky enough to catch that spectacle at its peak, having missed it in the '70s because we just
Yeah.
weren't either born or
Right.
able to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think they they said they'd stop playing, but I remember seeing, I think last year they did like an unmasked show or something. I think after Ace Frehley passed away.
Okay.
So I mean, I think they're still doing. I don't know if they're doing the makeup anymore. I'm not sure the current status, but I
Yeah.
think they're still active, which is awesome. Matt, we were talking a little bit about Tool, some of our favorite bands. Real quick, I want to get a top three favorite bands of all time from you guys, if that's possible. I don't know if I could do it, to be honest. Maybe just three bands that are like meaningful or that you really like.
For me, I'd have to say Metallica, one of the all-time greats. To me, they are the Led Zeppelin of our time. I guess just in terms of influence on me, I'd say Social Distortion. And I say influence because, I mean, even though, like Brian said, we grew up in that era of the guitar gods. That is not my it's not my skill set when it comes to guitar. So I feel like Social Distortion is a lot more approachable for me, and I can incorporate that in. I think I might even say like Black Sabbath, the Ozzy era of Black Sabbath. I love it. I love so much of that stuff. So 10 minutes from now, I could come up with probably another three. But right now,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
Brian, go ahead.
Oh, wow. That's a tough question. I mean, when I think about that, I think about that feeling when you're experiencing those bands for the first time and then like the length of just constantly listening to it. I mean, not to get nostalgic, Jake, but I can remember when we got CDs and you would open the CD and the smell of the printing of that, and it would fold out into this giant pamphlet of lyrics and photos. And if you send in $20, you'll get a shirt in 19 weeks from wherever or something. Um, so I guess I'm going to have to put Def Leppard Hysteria because that's the one that really got me into guitar. It's not probably where I fall as a player, but I just sort of like just the extravaganza of that and the vocal aspect of it. Boy, this is kind of tough.
It's hard when you have to limit it.
Yeah, it is because there's so many. So again, I think for me, we just hit on George Lynch for Tony. I'm going to say the band Extreme because Nuno Bettencourt was a big guitar influence for me. Back in 95, I got to meet the guy for the first time. And then most recently, like 2 years ago, when they put out a new album and toured, I got to go there and did the sound check and spent a few moments talking with him. And so I think that is key, probably any album of theirs, because he was big on just be a musician and not a guitar player. Wow, I don't know if I have a third or if I can narrow it down to a third. It's really tough when you think of all the things because I mean, like a band like Matt's a big Dave Matthews fan, and for a long time I was. I mean, I saw Dave Matthews be like Under the Table and Dreaming, when that blew up, but he still wasn't big enough. So I saw him in small venue and got to see it before it became the real to do. I mean, as a guitar teacher at one point, that's all I did was teach Dave Matthews songs cover to cover. So I'd be remiss if I didn't put him in there somewhere. So for now, we'll leave it at that. But
I'm gonna oversimplify and say all 90s drummers from Nirvana to 2000, and then after that, Carter Beauford from Dave Matthews, big influence on me, and then John Theodore from the Mars Volta. That guy is chef's kiss. He's very
Heck
nice.
yeah. Matt, what do you think about the whole Rush reunion? You excited?
All right, so here's the thing with Rush.
I
Is
hear this.
that so again? Here's the thing: they are all amazing musicians, and I love the music. But for some reason, my brain just cannot get on board with the high-pitched vocals. And it's not just them. I feel the same way about Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. Like I don't know. I hear it and it's just not my thing. But amazing musicians, and if they're gonna get together and I can somehow acquire tickets to those shows for less than $1,000, then I'll definitely be there. So, how about you?
Rush or the top three?
Top three and Rush.
Oh shoot. Well, yeah, I'd love to see Rush if I could the new version of them if I could somehow get tickets. I don't know how expensive that's gonna be, but yeah, top three's tough. I feel like I definitely would put the Stooges and or Iggy Pop up there. I got a chance to see Iggy Pop a couple times, and I was blown away because the guy's almost 80, and he's like running around shirtless, like stage diving, rolling around on the floor, and he's an insane person, which is awesome, So definitely, I'd put them up there. It's tough. You guys
Stumped by your own question.
Yeah, I know, right? Are you guys fans of Clutch from Maryland?
I've heard of them. I'm not familiar with their work.
Check out Clutch. Clutch is pretty cool. I like them, and then I like Fugazi a lot from DC.
I've heard great things about this band Impolite Society too. I'm sure they're up there.
Impolite Society. Right
yeah. Up and coming.
Someone said top 7. That might make the
list. Shameless plug.
We need all the help we can get.
Man. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, I think I'll wind it down. First off, thank you for being on the show again. It was a blast talking to you all.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we can get you out to California to play some shows one of these days. Hopefully.
I say, man, when you get a budget out there, buddy, we are there. We are there.
we need some rich donor listening to make something happen.
Help a couple of help 3 old men have their dreams come true to go on the road to play in California.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Later on, if you want to do this again, we're always open for it, and I appreciate you, helping us out and supporting us, Jake. Thank you very much. Thanks to anyone who takes the time to listen. We're having a blast with it, and hope that people like what we're doing. So,
heck yeah. All right, yeah. Tony, Brian, and Matt, thank you.
Thanks again, Jake. Always good to see you.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Have a good one, guys.
Hey, good luck this semester, Jake. Take care, man.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.